Hey there, this is Lee from Play Guitar Academy. I help frustrated guitar players get back to getting better at the guitar. Today, I'm going to be talking about switching in between electric guitar and acoustic guitar, or the other way around, and how the design of the guitar, the intent of what the guitar is meant to do and the tones it creates can give you a big headache. And we'll talk a little bit about how we can get past those problems. Let's talk about the nature of the two instruments. How they're built, how they're created, what they're meant to do. Let's talk about the first one is sustain. And that's how long the note lasts after you pluck it. It's very different between the two instruments. The electric is built for sustain. You have high tension strings. Let me get the electric. High tension strings. Maybe I'll just hold them both. That'd probably be better. Built to bolted to a solid block of wood. That is a recipe for very long lasting sustain on a guitar. The acoustic, on the other hand, it's got a big hollow body, so the neck just is glued into the body right there. That's all you've got. Has a sharp drop off. Volume goes straight down after a note's plucked. And even though it's using metal strings, they give it a little bit of more help with the sustain. It still drops off because of the hollow body. How about the nylon string classical guitar? That has the least amount of sustain of the three. If you are used to playing electric guitar and you hear just the beautiful sounds of the classical guitar, and you just start to try it, the very first thing you notice is you pluck a note and it just goes away very, very quickly. So the nature of the three instruments, the way that they're designed, has an effect on the tone, which can be different between the two guitars. Let's talk about the EQ, the tonal spectrum between all of these guitars. The highs, the mids, and the lows. They're dramatically different between all three of those instruments. The electric guitar has a lot of mid-range. If you've ever plugged a guitar straight into a mixing board, you hear how much mid-range that you get straight from the pickups from the electric guitar. Many of the amplifiers that you get, they're designed to either enhance those mids to make them, especially the upper mids, cut through in a mix like a Marshall amp, or scoop those mids out and make it sound more like an acoustic guitar. And so you're trying different amplifiers. You can get a whole variety of different sounds for an electric guitar. But for an acoustic guitar, steel string, you're generally going to get bright sounds with big boomy lows and not much mid-range. It's kind of scooped out. If you've ever seen a graphic EQ, it's like you take the center and make a big V with the shape. That's the sound that you're going to get from acoustic guitar. But then the nylon string guitar, it's less bright. It's warmer. It's a warmer sound. So once you get used to playing the guitar that you started on and you make the initial switch, that's a big thing too. You're not used to the sounds that are coming out. Experimenting with where you're picking. If you're using a pick, where in line on the acoustic guitar, if you pick down here by the bridge, you're going to get more highs. It's going to be more mellow and warmer here. So here, the closer I get to the bridge, it's almost a nasal sound. You see a lot of jazz players play up here right over the frets to get the warmest sound possible. The last difference in the nature of both of these instruments is they're geared towards either standing or sitting. And that can be one of the big problems that people have getting used to. If you're used to sitting playing an acoustic guitar and then get an electric guitar, your whole playing has to change, the whole way you stand. So my opinion, the acoustic guitar is designed for sitting. You can argue that, but to me, that just feels like a guitar that was made to be played while you're seated. Even though you can use it the other way, but the build and the design of the guitar makes it very comfortable to play when you're seated, because of the width of the guitar, how far out it comes from your body. When you're standing, even though when you're seated, your arm has to be out pretty far to play the acoustic guitar. When you're standing, as it's lower, you have even more of an angle. Your arm is kind of at a diagonal, so you have to really crane your wrist to get to play in position. In a jumbo guitar or a very big acoustic guitar, we talked about leaning over the guitar, resting on top of the guitar. When I do that, let me see if I can demonstrate for you today. I can hear a difference. I'm just going to play a regular E chord. Now I'm seated straight up. I'm not leaning on the guitar, it's resting on my leg. It sounds pretty even across there. I hear all the brights. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lean over top of it now. Doesn't sound as sparkly to me, and actually it seems to lose some of the sustain. It kind of just goes down quickly. Also some volume loss there too. And also when you're doing that too, sometimes when you're leaning on top, you could be pushing down on the neck, which could cause it to go out of tune a little bit too. I can hear the difference. It's minimal, but it may be something that gives you a hard time when you're switching beforehand. But if you've got like a jumbo guitar, a really, really big guitar, sometimes that's unavoidable. You're going to have to lean over top of it, especially if you're smaller, you're having to reach over like that. So just be conscious of how much weight that you're putting on the body of the guitar. Thanks so much for watching the video. One of the biggest difficulties people have when they're switching between electric guitar and acoustic guitar is making their chords sound clean. I've got a free guide for you. It's my guide to clear sounding chords. It's over at playguitaracademy.com/chord guide. It'll help you clear those problems up and get back to having fun and moving forward on the guitar again. Take a second to subscribe to the channel, even press the little bell there to make sure you get all the notifications when these videos are coming through. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on other videos in this series.